The Hidden Leaf village bustled with its usual energy, the morning sun casting long shadows over the training grounds where shinobi hone their skills. Among them, Naruto Uzumaki stood out, not just for his bright orange jumpsuit or spiky blonde hair, but for the sheer determination burning in his blue eyes. He swung a kunai in wide arcs, his movement still rough but fueled by an unyielding drive to prove himself. Nearby, Sasuke Uchiha observed with a cool detachment, his Sharingan flickering to life as he analyzed Naruto's form with a critical gaze. "You're still too slow," he muttered, flipping his own kunai between his fingers with practiced ease. Naruto gritted his teeth, refusing to back down. "I'll get stronger, just you wait. I'm gonna be Hokage one day, and no one's gonna stop me." The tension between them was palpable, a rivalry forged in years of competition and unspoken respect. But today, something was different. As Naruto lunged forward, his kunai clashed against Sasuke's, the metallic ring echoing through the air. Sparks flew, and for a moment, time seemed to slow. Naruto's kunai, ordinary in appearance, suddenly pulsed with a strange, golden light. The air around them crackled with energy, and Sasuke's eyes widened as he felt an unfamiliar force ripple through the blade. What the? Naruto didn't have time to react before the kunai's glow intensified, and a shockwave sent them both skidding backward. Naruto stared at the weapon in his hand, now humming with power. "What's going on?" he muttered, but before he could ponder further, a shadow loomed over them. A masked figure dropped from the trees, his presence suffocating, his intent unmistakable. "That kunai doesn't belong to you, boy," the stranger hissed, his voice dripping with malice. Naruto tightened his grip, adrenaline surging. "Who the hell are you?" The figure didn't answer. Instead, he lunged, his movements a blur. Naruto barely raised the kunai in time to block a slash aimed at his throat, the impact sending a jolt up his arm. Sasuke was already in motion, hurling shuriken with pinpoint accuracy, but the stranger batted them aside effortlessly. The fight erupted in earnest. Naruto channeled chakra into his legs, darting forward with a spinning kick that the enemy sidestepped, countering with a brutal elbow to his ribs. Pain flared, but Naruto gritted his teeth and retaliated with a wild haymaker. The masked man caught his fist, twisting his arm with a cruel smirk, until Sasuke's fireball jutsu roared toward them, forcing him to release Naruto and leap back. Flames licked at the ground as Sasuke landed beside his rival, Sharingan spinning. "Stop being reckless," he snapped, though his tone lacked its usual bite. Naruto grinned despite the ache in his side. "Hey, since when do you care?" The stranger chuckled darkly, weaving hand signs with terrifying speed. "Enough games." Earth split beneath them as jagged spikes erupted, forcing Naruto and Sasuke to leap apart. Naruto rolled midair, landing in a crouch, while Sasuke flipped gracefully, kunai at the ready. The enemy wasn't giving them room to breathe, he vanished, reappearing behind Naruto with a kunai aimed at his spine. But Naruto's instincts kicked in, he twisted, parrying the strike with his glowing kunai. This time, the clash sent a visible shockwave, the golden light flaring brighter. The masked man's eyes widened behind his mask. Impossible. Naruto didn't understand what was happening, but he wasn't about to waste the opportunity. With a roar, he pushed forward, the kunai's energy surging through him. His movements became faster, sharper, as if the blade was guiding him. He feinted left, then pivoted, slashing upward. The masked man barely dodged, but the kunai's edge grazed his mask, cracking it slightly. A glimpse of pale skin and a snarling mouth flashed before the enemy retreated, clutching his face. "This isn't over," he spat before dissolving into the shadows. Panting, Naruto stared at the kunai, its glow dimming but still present. Sasuke approached cautiously, his Sharingan analyzing the weapon. "What is that thing?" Naruto shook his head. "I dunno, but it just saved our hides." A cold realization settled over them, this wasn't just a random attack. That kunai held power, power someone was willing to kill for. And now, whether they liked it or not, they were caught in the middle of something far bigger than their rivalry. In the distance, the village bell tolled, signaling the start of a new day. But for Naruto and Sasuke, the world had shifted. The kunai in Naruto's hand wasn't just a tool, it was a key to destiny. And destiny had just come knocking. The battlefield was a storm of dust and debris, the air thick with the scent of sweat and blood as Naruto tightened his grip on the kunai, its blade shimmering with an otherworldly glow. The enemy, a rogue shinobi cloaked in shadows, lunged forward with a speed that blurred the lines of reality, his katana slicing through the air like a serpent's fang. Naruto barely dodged, the blade grazing his cheek as he countered with a spinning kick, forcing the attacker back. "You're fast," the rogue sneered, his voice dripping with malice, "But speed won't save you." Naruto's eyes narrowed, his mind racing. This wasn't just any foe, this was someone who knew his moves, someone who had studied him. Sasuke appeared in a flash of lightning, his Sharingan spinning wildly as he intercepted another strike aimed at Naruto's back. "Quit daydreaming, idiot," he growled, his Chidori crackling to life in his palm. The rogue smirked, weaving hand signs with terrifying precision. A wall of earth erupted between them, but Sasuke's Chidori tore through it like paper, sending debris flying. The enemy vanished, reappearing above them with a hail of kunai, each one laced with explosive tags. Naruto's fingers flew through seals, summoning a swarm of shadow clones to intercept the attack. The explosions lit up the sky, the concussive force sending shockwaves through the ground. Sakura wasn't far behind, her fists glowing with chakra as she shattered the earth beneath her, creating a shockwave that disrupted the rogue's footing. "He's adapting too quickly," she panted, her muscles straining. "We need to change tactics." Naruto gritted his teeth, feeling the kunai pulse in his hand. It was reacting to his emotions, its energy syncing with his own. A plan formed in his mind, risky, but necessary. "Sasuke, Sakura, buy me 10 seconds, he shouted, channeling chakra into the blade. The rogue's eyes widened as the kunai's glow intensified, its power distorting the air around it. The enemy wasn't about to wait. With a snarl, he unleashed a torrent of dark flames, the inferno roaring toward them. Sasuke's Rinnegan flared as he absorbed the flames, his body trembling from the strain. "Hurry, Naruto!" he barked, sweat pouring down his face. Sakura dashed forward, her chakra-enhanced strength allowing her to close the distance in an instant. She feinted left, then pivoted, driving her fist into the rogue's ribs with bone-crushing force. The impact sent him skidding back, but he recovered instantly, his body flickering like a mirage. Naruto's body burned as he pushed past his limits, the kunai's energy merging with his own. Golden chakra erupted around him, his Kurama cloak flaring to life. The rogue's smirk faltered for the first time. "Impossible," he muttered, but Naruto was already moving. In a blur of motion, he closed the gap, the kunai slashing through the air with a trail of radiant light. The rogue barely raised his katana in time, the clash sending sparks flying. The force of the blow sent shockwaves rippling through the battlefield, the ground cracking beneath them. The rogue countered with a vicious knee to Naruto's gut, followed by a spinning elbow aimed at his temple. Naruto barely dodged, feeling the wind from the strike whip past his face. He retaliated with a Rasengan, the sphere of chakra screeching as it collided with the rogue's guard. The explosion sent them both flying, but Naruto twisted midair, landing in a crouch. His breath came in ragged gasps, but his resolve didn't waver. Sasuke seized the opening, his Susanoo manifesting in a burst of dark energy. The colossal warrior swung its sword, the blade carving a path of destruction. The rogue barely avoided the strike, but Sakura was already there, her foot connecting with his jaw in a devastating uppercut. He crashed into the ground, his body skidding through dirt and rock. For a moment, it seemed over, until he laughed, a chilling sound that echoed across the battlefield. "You fools," he spat, rising slowly. His body began to warp, dark chakra enveloping him like a second skin. "You think this is my limit?" The transformation was horrifying, his muscles bulged, his veins turned black, and his eyes glowed with malevolent energy. He moved faster than before, his fist slamming into Sasuke's Susanoo with enough force to crack it. Sasuke gasped, blood trickling from his lips as the armor shattered. Sakura barely had time to react before the rogue was upon her, his clawed hand aiming for her throat. Naruto intercepted with a desperate lunge, the kunai clashing against the rogue's talons. The impact sent tremors through his arms, but he held firm. "This ends now," Naruto growled, his voice raw with determination. The kunai's glow intensified, its power surging through him like a tidal wave. He could feel it, the threads of destiny shifting, bending to his will. With a roar, he unleashed everything, the kunai's blade igniting with blinding light. The rogue's eyes widened in genuine fear as the strike connected, the energy tearing through his defenses. A shockwave erupted, the force of the blast sending everyone flying. When the dust settled, the rogue lay motionless, his body scorched and broken. Naruto collapsed to his knees, the kunai's glow fading. Sasuke and Sakura staggered to his side, their faces etched with exhaustion and relief. "You did it," Sakura whispered, her voice trembling. Naruto nodded weakly, his vision blurring. The battle was over, for now. But as the kunai's light dimmed completely, a distant voice echoed in his mind, a warning. This is only the beginning. The battlefield was a maelstrom of chaos, The sky split between the blinding glow of Naruto's Rasengan and the inky darkness of his enemy's chakra. The kunai in his grip pulsed with an eerie light, its blade humming as though alive, resonating with the very fabric of fate. Across from him, the masked figure, his final adversary, stood unwavering, their cloak tattered but their resolve unbroken. "This ends now," Naruto growled, his voice raw with exhaustion, yet burning with defiance. The clash was instantaneous. Naruto lunged, his kunai carving a golden arc through the air, but his opponent twisted mid-motion, countering with a whip of shadow that sent him skidding back. The ground beneath them cracked, the earth groaning under the weight of their power. Naruto's muscles screamed, every cell in his body pushed to its limit, but he refused to yield. He could feel the kunai's energy seeping into him, whispering of possibilities, of futures where he won, where he lost, where he never stood here at all. Sasuke's voice cut through the din, "Naruto, now!" A surge of Amaterasu flames erupted, black fire licking at their enemies' heels. Naruto didn't hesitate. Channeling every ounce of his remaining chakra, he hurled the kunai, not at his foe, but into the sky. For a heartbeat, time seemed to freeze. The blade gleamed like a falling star before vanishing into the swirling storm above. Then, the world erupted in light. Threads of destiny unraveled and rewrote themselves. The enemy staggered, their form flickering like a dying flame, their grip on reality slipping. "Impossible," they hissed, their voice laced with disbelief. Naruto didn't wait for an explanation. With a roar, he charged, his fist connecting in a devastating blow that sent shockwaves rippling across the battlefield. The mask shattered. The darkness dissipated. Silence followed. The wind carried the ashes of their battle away, leaving only the heavy breaths of the survivors. Naruto collapsed to his knees, the kunai clattering beside him, its glow now dim. Sasuke limped over, his Sharingan fading as he offered a rare, tired smirk. "You never do things the easy way," he muttered. The aftermath was a world reborn. Villages once divided now stood united, their leaders shaken by the revelation of the enemy's true identity, a forgotten figure from the past, a ghost clinging to vengeance. Naruto's actions had rewritten not just the battle, but the future itself. Bonds were reforged, old wounds began to heal, and the whispers of war faded into history. As the sun rose over the shattered battlefield, Naruto picked up the kunai one last time. Its power was spent, its purpose fulfilled. But the weight of its legacy, of choices made and destinies changed, would linger forever. He grinned, despite the pain. Guess this is just the beginning. The world, after all, was theirs to shape now.